Welcome back everyone, Oz here. And today I've got a compilation of r/AmITheDevil videos for you all. As per usual, these compilations are more of a way for you to get caught up on old videos that have probably been long since buried since this channel uploads daily. So hopefully you enjoy this hour-plus video of background noise that I'm throwing up for you guys. Am I the asshole for returning my wife's shoes? My wife was at the doctor's office for our baby's 2-week checkup when I stumbled upon new purchases in her closet. As in shoes. Flip-flops, sandals, etc. that looked pretty close to the ones she had already had in the closet, that she had bought earlier this year in preparation, I guessed, for summer. Except that the shoes were much bigger than the ones she had previously. This is our first baby, and to be honest, what I noticed more than anything is the fact that her feet have gotten swollen, wider and longer as her pregnancy progressed. It's been a mood killer for me, and it's made worse by the fact that my mom compares pregnancy feet to a loaf of bread, and I can only visualize her feet like that. But more than that, my mom said that feet are supposed to shrink after pregnancy, and that weight loss is a big part of it. So I was upset that my wife just spent all this money on new shoes when she barely goes anywhere outside of either her bedroom or our baby's room, and should be gunning for weight loss instead of throwing in the towel. I thought that it was an impulsive purchase that, in the end, was going to waste money and disincentivize her to lose weight and look for solutions to her swollen feet. As a result, I ended up taking the shoes back and getting refunds. Now my wife is pissed, and I feel like she's just going to refuse to lose weight out of spite. Am I the asshole? I can't help feeling not attracted to her, and unfortunately the state of her feet is something I notice very clearly. And I'm also still mad that she used my money without permission, and am tempted to cut up the credit cards she uses if she's going to continue to impulse buy. So is she just not allowed to have shoes? Like, the fuck, dude? Like what? So if she's gonna go somewhere, now she doesn't have any shoes that fit her. Do you just want like a barefoot and pregnant wife and that's it? Because she literally doesn't have shoes anymore that fit her. I'm so lost. Maybe the reason why she doesn't go outside or go anywhere besides the bedroom and the baby's room is because she didn't have shoes that fit her. So she went and got some, and now she doesn't have shoes that fit her again. So, what? Hey babe, go to the gym and lose that weight. I can't, you returned the workout shoes I bought. It didn't sound like my problem. I'm gonna cut up your credit card if you do that again. And not to mention, this is 2 weeks after she just gave birth. She gives birth. She buys shoes that fit her, so she can go out and do stuff, and possibly lose some of the weight the husband is no longer attracted to her because, and then he just returns the shoes so she can't lose the weight that the husband is no longer attracted to her because he thinks of loaves of bread when looking at her feet. Buddy, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to suckle them piggies? What? What? Are the feet that important to your relationship? My man, there are so many red flags in this one, holy shit. My wife and I are separating due to irreconcilable differences. It appears it's going to be a clean split in the finances. I am buying her out of her half of the house, etc. My main issue is that my wife has moved out to stay with her daughter now, which leaves me to cover all the household bills, etc. I earn 80k pounds a year, so it wouldn't be an issue, but up until now, we had always split bills 50-50, so I have grown accustomed to a certain standard of living. My wife is only on a minimum part-time wage, so I don't think I would be able to go after her salaried income. However, now she lives with her daughter, who is quite well off. She has very little outgoing expenses other than food, phone bill, and car payments, as I'm assuming her daughter will be paying my wife's way. So, once the dust is settled here, I'm going to be spending more every month and she'll be spending less. Is there any recourse for going after my stepdaughter's income since it will be spent on my wife? So would that count as income for my wife? Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, for starters, you're making assumptions based on your wife's finances that the daughter's gonna be paying her way when she does make her own money, so you don't know what the hell's gonna be going on with that. Second, you're really going after your stepdaughter's income after the divorce? Dude, I hope to God that's not how it works in Scotland. Holy hell, that is gross. And also, buddy, You've grown accustomed to a certain standard of living. Yeah, I bet your wife had as well, but you bought her out of the house. You made the choice to put your finances in this situation. If you can't afford this, then you should downsize. I had to downsize when I was dealing with my own legal shit and had to fucking figure out where the hell to go with things. I don't have a car right now. I made sacrifices. I made choices. It's part of life. Sometimes when things don't go your way, you gotta make some pretty hard choices. But to me, it sounds like you don't have to. You just want to take money from your stepdaughter because you want to maintain a certain standard of living, but in your own admission, you can. You're not even going after the income because you have to, because you're suddenly going to be out the place to live if you don't. You just want to go after the stepdaughter's income so you can maintain a bougie standard of living. Also, your wife was earning minimum wage, but you were able to split the finances 50-50, and you want to go after your stepdaughter's income? Dude, what is wrong with you? You made the choice to buy her out of the house. You made the decisions to put yourself into this financial situation. You two made the decision to split up. Also, on top of all of that, why is it that you would be entitled to the stepdaughter's income and not that your wife would be entitled to some of your income? Couldn't she make the same argument that she is used to a standard of living that you used to provide because, by your own admission, you make pretty good money, so how come she can't just turn around and Uno reverse that shit on you? I feel like your decisions are very short-sighted and are gonna lead to a lot of doors opening that you're gonna wish remained closed. Am I the asshole for not wanting to punish my daughter for defending her little brother? We have 2 children, a daughter who is 7 and a son who is 4. My daughter loves her little brother and is quite protective of him, which I have always liked, at least until now. We recently had a family gathering at my parents' house. I don't get along with my sisters because they have raised their children in the way that they believe they can annoy others and get away with it because they won't get punished. That's why especially my 6-year-old nephew, who likes to bother my son, whenever he does it, we immediately leave the meetings. We attended this last meeting because my father was already retiring from his job and wanted to celebrate the beginning of his retirement with a family reunion. My husband is the one who usually takes care of my son because when my husband is with him, my nephew doesn't dare approach him. But that time, my husband had a work meeting and couldn't go. My daughter anyway insisted that she would take care of her brother, so we ended up going. Now, my parents have 2 medium-sized swimming pools, one for children and one for adults. It turns out that my nephew threw my son into the adult pool. As soon as I realized, I took him out and cleaned him. My son was crying and I was watching red, but at least my son was fine. When I was about to go complain to my sister, we heard a scream. We turned to look and it was my daughter, sinking my nephew's face in the water of the children's pool and putting all her weight on top of him so he couldn't get up. Almost all of us had to intervene to be able to separate them. I couldn't believe that a 7-year-old girl could have so much strength. But not even my 2 sisters and I could make her let go of my nephew. When we managed to separate them, my nephew began to vomit water, throw it out of his nose and cry. My daughter also cried while hugging her brother and I hugged both of them. When everything calmed down between them, the screams began between my sister and me. My sister wanted to hit my daughter and I got in the way. Luckily, nothing happened. In the end, we separated and each of us returned home. It is worth clarifying that I did not punish my daughter for what she did, and I do not plan to do so. She was only defending her brother, but the problem is that my sisters both want my daughter to apologize to my nephew, and that I should punish her in front of them to let them know what kind of violence is not okay, which I refuse to do. My parents also think that my daughter went a little too far. The only person who is on my side now is my husband, saying that he would have done the same if he had been in my daughter's place. So, am I the asshole for refusing to punish her and not wanting her to apologize? Tangentially, every adult in this situation is in the wrong here. You guys left children who have issues with each other, unaccompanied, next to large bodies of water. Like, that is on you guys for that situation there. Your daughter definitely went too far. Holy shit. But I am massively internally conflicted on the daughter portion of it because she said she would handle it and she most certainly did. Holy hell. You should probably have a conversation with your daughter that attempted murder is most certainly not the way to go about this. She probably didn't realize what she was doing, and if she did, maybe therapy? Because, oh my god, I can tell you for certain the nephew is never going to pick on the 4-year-old again. And the fact that the sisters never actually punished the 6-year-old for the constant, honestly, I'm just gonna say bullying of a 4-year-old, that's kind of on the sisters. The matters escalated and the daughter took things into her own hands, apparently very effective hands. And if you struggled to get her off of the nephew, she was full of rage. Holy shit. I think the parents are more at fault in this situation than the children are. I think the daughter definitely needs to have a strong talking to because what she did was unacceptable, but I get it. I understand it. That nephew isn't gonna start shit anymore. He learned his lesson fundamentally. I am firmly in the boat that the parents fucked up on this situation by leaving the kids unattended when there were problems between them around large bodies of water. I am fundamentally in that position. However, because I am not a parent yet, I feel like I need to ask for, like, further advice on how you would handle the daughter in this situation, because in my mind, I'm amused by the daughter's actions. She said she would defend her little brother, and she sure as hell made sure of it. And yeah, I definitely probably have a little bit of a bias here, and that's why I'm going to be asking people who are actually parents for a bit of advice on this one, because I don't know if I would be able to deliver a proper punishment or conversation in this circumstance, beyond just simply having a conversation that, you know, defending your brother is good, but don't go that far because that nephew could have probably died. But again, that loops right back to the fact that no one was watching the kids near pools. The 4-year-old could have also died because it's assuming that the adult pool is your standard 5-foot pool. A 4-year-old being thrown into the pool by a 6-year-old, that could have also been horrific. I really do fundamentally believe that a lot of this does fall back onto the parents. I think what the daughter did was excessive, but the 6-year-old also needs to be punished for the fact that oh my god, I'm frustrated. Am I the asshole for dismissing my wife's concerns about me driving 100+ miles per hour on the highway? Yes, moving on. I'm kidding. Mostly. I'm not. I'm already judging this one, but let's continue. I, 36 male, work in a rural area, absolute middle of nowhere. Because of that, there's mostly nobody on the highway as I get closer, and I usually speed up to over 100 miles an hour. Honestly, nobody really cares. It's never been an issue. Until when I was driving there to pick something up on Monday. I forgot my earbuds and we were going somewhere anyways, and my wife starts hissing at me to slow down. I ask her what our problem is, and she says I'm going way too fast, especially since our kids, 5 female and 3 female, were in the car. Note I was going about 90. I reply to that by saying the highway was basically empty, so we would be fine, plus, I do the drive every day at higher speeds. Conversation ended there. After getting my stuff and getting to our destination, while my kids were doing some rides, my wife wanted to stop right where we started. I told her I get the point, but like I said, the highway isn't even close to full, and we would just be wasting time to go slower. Well, here asking for judgment on whether I was wrong in this situation, since my wife still 100% thinks she's right here. Am I the asshole? So before I give my opinion, I just want to firmly state that the moment that you are speeding in a car and you have infants in there, you are instantly the asshole, no matter what conditions the roads are or any other factors that could be at play. They cannot consent to being in a speeding vehicle. And, in some cases, could lead to childhood trauma revolving vehicles because their father decided to excessively speed when they were younger. That being said, it is one thing when you are alone, on a divided highway, specifically divided highway. The roads are clear, no one is around you, you can see for miles ahead of you, and you don't need to be too concerned with wildlife. Speeding in those conditions is one thing. You might end up hurting yourself or possibly getting a ticket, but there is less of a risk to those around you or those within the car if you're speeding alone in those conditions. But the moment you actively participate in something that makes one of your passengers uncomfortable, like your wife, and let's say you're speeding, you instantly become the asshole. And of course, this includes what I spoke on earlier with having children in the car who may not be able to verbalize their discomfort with your driving. It is one thing to put yourself and only yourself at risk, it is another thing entirely to put others at risk. So, To further that, if you are speeding on a non-divided highway, you're the asshole, and you are actively and recklessly endangering the lives of others. If there are hills and you are speeding, you're the asshole. If there are sharp turns and you're speeding, you're the asshole. If there's a heavy deer population and you're speeding, you're the asshole. Your brakes can only do so much at 90 miles an hour plus. Trust me on that. As someone who in a single year went through 4 tires, 4 brake pads, and an entire set of rotors, in 1 year, you can probably guess what I was doing on mountain passes. Your brakes can only do so much, and you need to be damn aware of what your car can do. And I don't think he is. And the reason why I state that, because in the comments section, when someone asked him exactly about that and what happens if a deer jumps in front of his car while he's driving, he stated brake pedals come standard. Anyone who is aware of what their car's limits actually are will not respond with that when it comes to a deer jumping out in front of them at 100 miles an hour. You are going to vaporize that deer. Probably the entire front half of your car. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my daughter and messing up her date? This weekend, my daughter and I went out to a party with a group of my friends. Some of them brought their kids with them. My daughter hit it off with one of my friend's sons, who she hadn't met before. We were drinking and I overheard them talking about potentially going on a date. It was clear they were interested in each other from their behavior during the party, so I wasn't surprised. I love my daughter more than anything, and I want her to be happy. She deserves to be happy. I went over there when they were planning the date and said, kinda joking, that Logan, my friend's son, wasn't right for my daughter, so he can get that idea out of his head. They asked why. I said Logan was only 22 and my daughter is 25. She needs someone who is financially stable and he's still starting off. I joked maybe in 5 years, but right now, he's just a kid. She needs a man. He laughed and said he understood. No hard feelings. He knows I just want the best for my kid. I said he was a sweet kid, but not the person for my daughter. I didn't realize she was mad till we drove home. She gave me the silent treatment and then didn't talk to me for the rest of the weekend, saying that I ruined her date and embarrassed her. Am I the asshole here? I was just looking out for her. Her being so upset is strange, honestly. So for starters, they're both consenting adults, so it's none of your business. Not only that, but if I heard that one of my friends told my son that he's financially irresponsible, I'd be pretty pissed, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you embarrassed your daughter in front of someone she was romantically interested in. I'd be pretty mad too. And also, simultaneously, in the process of embarrassing her, you also insulted your daughter by saying that she's not in a position to be financially responsible and she can't handle herself either. You simultaneously insulted your friend's son, and your daughter in one fell swoop. That's shockingly impressive and efficient, not going to lie. I cut off my daughter, 15 female, over a misunderstanding and now she won't come back. Am I the asshole? I'm 47 and a single father to my daughter Kate. Her mother is unfortunately out of the picture, took her own life shortly after Kate was born. So I don't have much help in the way of parenting, which is why this happened. I have other family, but I don't really want them involved with the parenting since it's something I always wanted to handle myself. So before you judge, please understand this. About 2 months ago, I couldn't find my credit card anywhere, and despite checking the numerous places it could have been, I thought it had been taken. Since Kate and I are the only ones that live here, I thought she might have had something to do with it. I asked her if she knew where it was, and she said no. I went back to looking for a bit, but after I still hadn't found it, I thought it may have been stolen. I had shut it off, and then I thought about who could have stolen it. The only person I could think of was Kate. So I tried to get her to confess to stealing it, and she wouldn't budge. I tried being calm, but after some back and forth, I eventually snapped and yelled at her to tell me where it was and why she took it. She was crying and saying she didn't take it, but I didn't believe her. So I went through her room and couldn't find it. I figured she took it somewhere, and I was just so mad at her that I called my sister, Annie, and asked her to take Kate because I thought she was a little thief. Annie came and took her, but told me that I shouldn't accuse her of taking it because she knew Kate wouldn't have done it, and that I've lost stuff before and found it in unexpected places. I told her there's no way I'd lose something this important, and that she had to have taken it. We argued back and forth, but eventually I was so angry because I thought Kate stole my credit card, I yelled that I didn't want to see that stealing bitch until I got my credit card back. I guess she heard what I said because I heard some sniffling and felt really bad, but Annie took her and left. I was still angry, so admittedly I trashed her room in hopes I might find it, and still nothing. I ended up replacing my card since I figured it was gone for good. I hadn't spoken to Kate out of anger and figured it was for the best since I didn't think I'd have anything nice to say anyway. But last week I replaced the couch, and while I was taking it apart to clean it before I sold it, I found the damn card under the cushions. The one place I didn't think it would be. It was. This meant that Annie was right, and I felt horrible for Kate. I called Annie and told her I found it, and she rightfully yelled at me for being an idiot. I asked if Kate could come home, and Annie tried getting her to talk to me, but she refused and said she's not coming back. Annie then told me that she's been depressed since this happened and had to put her in therapy because she almost took her life over this. I didn't realize that what happened would have led to this, and I'm so scared to think I could have lost Kate the same way I lost my wife. I broke down and asked what I could do, and Annie just said that I probably screwed up our entire relationship and that I should work on moving on. This is bothering me so much. I know I screwed up. I just want to know what I can do to get her back. I miss my daughter and all the good times we had together. She's been the only thing keeping me here since her mother died, and I feel alone without her. I don't want to force her to come back, otherwise I would have just filed her as a runaway and risked my sister being charged with kidnapping. But I want her to be okay around me again. Am I the asshole for what I did with the only knowledge I had at the time, and how do I get her back? I'm adding this as a editorial process post-commentary kind of insert here. I'm not defending the father in this next portion of the commentary. I've seen enough people in the comments take my empathy to the furthest extremes possible, so I want to clarify, I'm not siding with the father. All I'm doing is stating that what's done is done, and there's no going back. The father is asking for what's next, and that's what I'm providing. And I know that I already state this in the upcoming commentary, but he is not entitled for his apology to be accepted by his daughter. That is his daughter's decision. Unfortunately, your daughter now knows that you value your credit card and your monetary possessions more than her. You weren't willing to believe her for something that you lost, despite the fact that you didn't know at the time, and called her a bitch for it. I don't think you can get your daughter back. I think first and foremost, you as the father need to go to therapy and take some steps to actually try to rehabilitate yourself, because the fact that you didn't even consider that you could have lost it and trashed her room, called her a bitch, kicked her out of the house, before even just broadening your search, I think you need to get professional help. Not everyone is entitled to have their apology accepted, and God knows that I've made my fair share of mistakes, and that leads me to be weirdly empathetic in situations like this, because we're human, but at the same time, an apology doesn't always cut it. You have to take steps to improving yourself as a person first. I think your daughter should stay with your aunt, and you definitely need to rehabilitate yourself and work on that anger, because she needs a safe place to be, and I don't think that's with you. Like, you excommunicated your daughter over a credit card that you thought was stolen by her, to the point where she attempted to commit suicide because she thought she lost her father over something she didn't do. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all fuck up from time to time. It's what makes us what we are. The thing is, though, is you had a pretty big fuck up. And you're clearly distraught over it, but you need to understand where you fucked up just beyond accusing your daughter of being a dirty little thief and calling her a bitch. You made so many missteps along the way, and you need to take the time to figure out what you've done, how you've hurt your daughter, and improve yourself in the process before you can even begin to consider asking her to be back in your life. And there's a good chance that she may never want you back in her life, and you need to be ready to accept that. There comes a point where once you better yourself, you just need to sit there and think, my daughter's doing good in life. Good for her. And you gotta move on. Am I the asshole for calling my sister cruel for her tattoo idea? Sis is 28, I'm 26 male. My sis N has always had a strained relationship with our parents, especially my mom. I am clearly not privy to the reasons because things are fine with me and my parents. When N went to college, she met her creative writing professor as a freshman and they got close immediately. They would do a lot together and work closely on a few different writing projects. N never specifically said this, but it was obvious to anyone who saw them interact that they had a substitute mother/daughter type relationship, which hurt my mom a lot to see. I always thought she'd grow out of it or that the professor would move on, but 10 years later, they were still very close. About a month ago, the professor died unexpectedly and it devastated N. She was really depressed over the holidays, which of course was all in front of my mom and was a difficult reminder that N loved the professor as a mother way more than she ever loved my mom as a mother. She still talks to my parents and stuff and they don't fight or anything, but N is very distant and doesn't tell them anything about her life beyond the bare minimum. My mom tried to comfort N, but N was doing her distant thing and didn't want comfort. Something unfortunate that happened to N is that when she got the call that she died, she was brewing tea and in the shock of the news, she spilled boiling water on her arm, which burned her kinda badly on her wrist. I think the burn was like on the borderline of 2nd and 3rd degree, and definitely still looked pretty rough during the holidays. N said it was especially hard because in addition to the physical pain, every time she looks at it, she is reminded to the moment she found out the professor died, which I totally get. I was on FaceTime with N, and she said she talked to her tattoo artist friend who said that the burn should be able to heal well enough to get a tattoo over it, and then excitedly told me about her idea, which is a type of flower that the professor gave her a bouquet of for her undergraduation. My mom was so embarrassed that day because she didn't get N flowers, but the professor did, and N was parading them around so happy, and it was a reminder of their connection. I guess N and the professor exchanged these flowers for every social occasion like birthdays, etc. So now she wants to get a decent-sized tattoo in a highly visible spot of something that will remind everyone of the professor. I told N that this seemed really cruel to my mom, who already feels cast aside and like she's in exile from N. And that's without the constant, permanent reminder. N kind of scoffed and said, "I can't believe you think you have the right to tell me not to do this." Called me an ass and hung up and is still not talking to me except for a very brief text saying congrats for a promotion I just got. My parents aren't commenting. My dad said I should have kept quiet even though he agrees, and my mom made no comment but seemed grateful I stood up for her. I feel like I was just being protective of my mom, but am I the asshole? See, the key to this entire interaction is OP's admittance that they are unaware and not privy to reasons why they are no longer close. From the information we have from a biased narrator, the sister had a relationship and a connection with a professor who basically acted as a surrogate mother. We can assume by how close they were that that professor was in a position in her life where she was a very close and important figure, to the point where they were kind of beyond professor and student. Hell, it sounds like the professor was there for her in ways the mother was never. And it sounds like that she wants to honor that relationship that she had with that professor by getting a tattoo of a very important and significant type of flower that they used to exchange with each other during special events. If it makes your mom upset that there's a reminder that someone was in your sister's life that was more like a mother to them, you might want to ask yourself the question of, how come this person was more of a mother to my sister than her own mother? I'm sure there is a story that a lot of us are left out on that probably explains a lot of this. Am I the asshole? I yelled at my daughter for not honoring her mother. Hello, I am 56 female and have 5 kids. 31 male, 30 male, 28 male, 26 male, and 24 female. I will call my daughter Savannah. She recently got engaged to her boyfriend, Phil. In my family, we honor our mothers by giving them grandchildren, so their work wasn't for nothing. I honored my mama by having kids, and now it's her turn to do the same for me. I talked to Savannah about it, and she dropped a bombshell on me that she doesn't want to have kids. I was shocked by this and asked why. She said she wanted to further her career and live her life instead of raising kids. I tried to convince her by telling her all about how kids made my life worth living. I enjoyed my days raising them and don't understand why she wouldn't feel the same once she has her own. She shut me down and said that she knows she wouldn't enjoy it. I started crying because she refused to see my side and why I need her to have grandkids. She said that her brothers, 31 male and 28 male, have kids, but I told her it's not the same as your daughter having kids. I was going to help her through her pregnancy, hold her baby showers, and support her in the birth. Yet she tore all of this away from me like that. I told her that I didn't put in all the hard work raising her so she could not give me grandkids, essentially making all that hard work for nothing. I yelled that she isn't honoring her mother this way, and she was really upset. She left and won't speak to me now. Am I the asshole? I just want to be honored by my daughter, but she took that from me. So my first observation here is that she had 4 sons and then 1 daughter, and then stopped right after she had the daughter. I hope to God this is rage bait because she admits right here the only reason she had a daughter was so that way she could have this experience. The only reason why her daughter's alive is so she could be honored by her daughter having a child. What about her sons? Her daughter brings up a wonderful point. She already has grandchildren. Imagine finding out that your mother only loves you for the potential of her essentially walking you through honoring her with grandkids. That sucks. I really hope this is rage bait because discovering that your mother only loves you for the potential of you possibly having a daughter so she can live out the fantasy of being like a pseudo caretaker for you is heartbreaking. Am I the asshole for not loving my son? I, male, 26, have a 7-year-old son, Jamie. Jamie was an unplanned child from a short-lived relationship. His mom and I broke up soon after he was born, and since then we have joint custody where I have him for half the month and she has him for the other half. From the start, I never felt that instant bond people talk about. While other parents gush about their kids, I've always struggled to feel anything more than obligation. I provide financial support and make sure he has what he needs, but emotionally, I'm just blank. When Jamie was a baby, I hoped that maybe as he grew older, things would change. But now, at 7, he's a bright, energetic kid, and I still feel nothing. I go through the motions. We play, I read to him, I make sure he's fed and safe, but there's no emotional connection. I've seen therapists about this, trying to understand why I feel this way, but nothing has helped. Jamie's mom recently asked if I'd take him for a few extra weeks during the summer. She's having some personal issues and can use the break. I agreed, thinking maybe the extra time together would help build that bond, but it hasn't. If anything, the extended time has made it more apparent how detached I am. Jamie notices too. He's asked me why I don't seem happy to see him or why I don't hug him like other dads do. I don't know what to say. A few days ago, I overheard Jamie talking to his mom on the phone asking if I loved him. She assured him that I did, but the guilt is eating me alive because I don't feel it. My friends and family say I'm doing the right thing by providing for him and being present, but is that enough? Am I the asshole for not feeling any emotions towards my son, despite trying everything to change that? Fuck, man, this is just sad. I don't think he's the devil or the asshole in this situation. I mean, it's depressing, it's sad, and the son is going to have a lot of he's the biggest victim in all of this, but the dad, he's not the devil or an asshole in this because he's actively trying to figure out what's going on. He's been to therapy, he's talking with people, and even though he doesn't have that kind of connection or bond, he's still trying to be there in every way he can, but damn, dude. Fuck. I don't even know what to say in this circumstance because he's not a bad person. He's just, his emotions are fucked. And that doesn't make him evil or the devil. He knows what's going on and he wants to be there for his son, but he just, dude, this one really hurts because this is a fear of mine that as if I do become a father in the future that I would have a similar issue. It is a genuine fear of mine because there's the whole thing of parents, when they have their children, they don't have that kind of bond or attachment, and there's always the question of why and what's wrong with them, and that's a genuine fear of mine. And hearing this kind of story here, I can tell by the way it's written that he hates himself for this. But even without having that emotional connection, he is still doing more for his son than most parents would in this circumstance, and that's good. But I don't know what he could do. I don't know what the best option is. I don't think most people know what the best option is. Am I the asshole for saying you should invest in our future and not shoes? That is the title, that is not me misspeaking. I've been dating my girlfriend Sammy for 6 months and found her mom's birthday present ridiculous. Sammy has a different taste in clothes and goes for an edgier look. We've talked about getting a place together or moving in together. She had a small birthday party and her mom got her ballerina flats, which cost over $1,000. I asked my girlfriend if she could ask her mom to invest in her future instead, or maybe return the shoes for cash for our apartment. Sammy said her mom likes to get her nice things, and it's just a pair of shoes, and it would be tacky to ask for a specific gift. I told her I was being practical about our finances, and she told me to be useful with mine and leave her family finances alone because it's not my business. I tried talking to her again about the shoes, and she opened her apartment door and then told me to be poor someplace else. This was out of character for her. This was out of character for her, so I left to let her sort her emotions out. Later that day, she had all the stuff I kept in her apartment delivered by Uber packages and hadn't responded to my text. I thought I was practical and wanted her to invest money in our future and not shoes. So, if the girlfriend was financially irresponsible and barely making rent and went out of her way and bought $1,000 shoes, that's one thing. But a birthday present from her mother? That is an entirely different story and you have no right to step in there. Like, seriously, dude. I don't think I've ever seen a post where someone gets broken up with in real time. That's pretty impressive. And yet, she has every right to do so, because that was kind of gross, dude. Like, again, if she had spent her money on that and money was extremely tight, that's one thing. But her mother doing a nice thing for her daughter just for her birthday, and you being like, well, that money could be better spent on our future. The "our future" is a key word there, buddy. And this is coming from someone who thinks that buying expensive clothing is kind of a waste of money. I don't personally understand fashion, but at the same time, I play Warhammer 40k, so I got no place to talk. We all have our hobbies and things that we enjoy that can get a little pricey, and in this specific case, her mother got her something very nice, and it would be really disrespectful for her to then sell those shoes or give them back and ask for the value in cash instead. Am I the asshole for moving in my partner? So I, 39 male, am in a predicament, and I honestly don't know if I'm in the wrong. I have a job that requires me to travel a lot for work. I also have a daughter, 9 female, and this means that I'm away from her for long stretches of time. On one of my trips away, my wife died very suddenly of an aneurysm. It was a very traumatic event for everyone, but especially my daughter. She was 6 at the time and was alone in the house with my wife's body for a day before her sister visited and found them. I got a frantic call from my wife's sister, but because the circumstances of everything at the time, I couldn't get home for a week. I regret this immensely looking back. My daughter was extremely fragile and didn't understand what was happening, just that her mom was gone and daddy wasn't there. She was bounced between family members until I finally got home. I say all of this to explain that my daughter has been incredibly clingy since then and thus may not be reacting appropriately. Oh boy. On one of my more recent business trips, I was reunited with one of my dear friends from college, Sam, 37 male. Sam and I were admittedly very close and had a few flings in college. Seeing him again reignited everything, and for the first time since my wife died, I genuinely feel happy and loved. On my business trip, we got together. I also learned that he's not doing very well financially and he's trying to find a place to stay. It was admittedly fast, but I just felt so much joy with him that I immediately invited him to move into my home. When we came back together though, my daughter became very upset, shouting about how I'm replacing her mother, which is not my intention at all. She also said she doesn't want Sam in the house. I told her that it was my decision and that Sam was staying. However, since then, my daughter's nanny has been noticeably colder towards me, and my late wife's family has also come out of the woodwork to tell me that I'm wrong. My family, however, are happy for me and think that I deserve to have the happiness Sam gives me. So Reddit, am I the asshole? This is a lot to unpack. Holy hell. First of all, the fact that you immediately didn't come home when your wife died from a business trip, that's... Dude. I know that you mentioned that you regret it immensely, but my guy. Yeah, your daughter is definitely going to be cleaning after that because her mother died while you were gone and she had to basically be bounced from family member to family member without her actual parents around and not being able to understand what was going on. Like, there's nothing wrong with you 3 years later moving on and, finding someone who you love and are willing to move forward with. But the problem comes down to is you just showed up with Sam. No preparation for your daughter. No kind of get to know Sam period. Just, hey, Sam's living with us now. Yeah, your daughter is gonna feel like her mom is being replaced. I'm happy you got Sam in your life, but you are definitely moving way too fast. And yeah, you deserve happiness. But the thing is, so does your daughter. And as the parent, you need to put your daughter's needs first because you made the choice to have your daughter. Your daughter is in your life. I am happy that you have a nanny for her, but at the same time, you need to make sure that your daughter is living a fulfilling life, and you can't just be dropping these random changes. She's already gone through a lot. And yeah, it sucks that Sam is in a rough position, but so is your daughter. To me, it sounds like you gotta pump the brakes and have a serious conversation with your daughter and probably take her to therapy, my man. I'd also be really curious to see what y'all have to say in the comments because this is a fucking train wreck if I'm gonna be honest. Am I the asshole for not giving my daughter a car for her 16th birthday and cutting her off financially? I, 48 male, have a daughter Lisa, 15 female from my first marriage. I'm not on particularly good terms with her mother, and Lisa unfortunately became an outlet for her resentment towards me, which ended up souring our relationship massively. Lisa is a good person, but unfortunately, she takes after her mom in terms of demeanor and often acts rude and entitled. A few years ago, I married again. Lisa decided to not attend my wedding, and she said a bunch of hurtful things to my then fiancée Rosemary, 38 female. Since then, our relationship got even worse. When Rosemary and I welcomed our son a year and a half ago, Lisa sent me a text saying that since I have my perfect baby now, I could stop pestering her and trying to play family with her. It hurt me deeply, and I ended up distancing myself from her, though I kept sending her $100 a month as her allowance. Recently, we had an unplanned addition to our family. Long story short, Rosemary's sister, who wasn't a good parent to start with, terminated her custody rights over her son Blake, 17 male. Rosemary and I decided to take Blake in. Unfortunately, a few years ago, Blake got in a horrible car wreck that left him permanently disabled. Luckily, he can somewhat walk and doesn't need 24/7 assistance around the house, but that's about it. Blake is an amazing person, and he quickly became part of our family. I decided to give the $100 allowance to Blake instead. He was beyond happy and grateful. I also made a hard decision and gave him my car. It's a 2022 Cadillac Escalade, and I was planning on getting rid of it this year anyway since Lisa is turning 16 in a month and I wanted to gift it to Lisa. Now it's Blake's car, and he absolutely loves it. I'm sure he fucking does. It's a $70,000+ car. Some of the trim options range up to $120,000. He really needs a car because his mobility issues don't let him get around easily anymore, and it changed his life massively. Of course, Lisa didn't like it. When she realized that she wasn't getting any allowance, she called me and asked what's wrong. It was the first call I received from her in a year, if not more. I explained that now, when my family had expanded, I'm not having enough money. I'll still be sending her mom the child support payments as per court agreement, but she shouldn't expect anything extra. She asked me about the car since she knew about my plans on giving her a car. I told her that now the situation changed and I no longer could give her a car. I'll admit, what I said was probably asshole-ish of me since I told her that I now have 2 children to play family with and asked her to stop pestering me. This caused her to blow up completely to the point she got her mom to call me and scream at me, and so did her new husband. They threatened to sue me. Lisa said she'll go no contact and so on. I just brushed off the threats, especially since Rosemary is a lawyer and I made my peace with poor contact with Lisa years ago. They also managed to write a few mean things to Rosemary and Blake, and this is what got me wondering whether I was an asshole here. I think in this situation, before we read some comments, I think everyone in this particular instance is the asshole. The father's going back on his word, which is definitely harmful, and I assume there's probably a longer history of him doing this, which caused the no contact in the first place, and the daughter definitely is entitled. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I do feel like there's a lot of history that we're missing out on this, but the daughter was made promises by her father, even how strained the relationships are, and the father went back on his promise. But the father does have a good reason too, and it's the fact that his daughter doesn't seem to actually love him beyond the monetary value he can provide, which probably is pretty frustrating and depressing. But then again, there's also the fact that he gave Blake, someone he barely knows, a $70,000+ car. I mean, who knows what kind of options were on that, and even at the lower end of it, if it's 70 grand, he could sell that and buy literally 2 fully loaded Honda Civics for both of the kids and call it good. The dad is definitely an asshole in this situation, but he is not the only asshole in this situation. Granted, we are comparing a 48-year-old man to a 15-year-old. But let's take a look at some comments, and these have been grabbed by sadly the worst, the common goat of AmITheDevil. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. My impulse is to jump on the "you're the asshole" train, because I mean, if it talks like an asshole and walks like an asshole, it's probably an asshole. But to give you the benefit of the doubt, before I rush to judgment, info 1. What was the nature of your divorce from Lisa's mother? Was there an incident that led to the split, or any kind of scenario where one of you was at fault more so than the other? 2. What kind of efforts did you make to be present for Lisa as a parent after the divorce? You say your relationship soured, but what does that mean exactly? 1. We didn't get along well. She was very controlling and very demanding. I was wildly in love with her at first, but as her demands grew, my love was progressively decreasing. Basically, I was her personal ATM that she could tell what to do. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends, staying late working, going on fishing trips, etc. It ended up escalating so bad that I said enough and brought up divorce. Lisa was 7 at the time. I got visitation as ruled by court. I was spending time with her, taking her on trips. I took her to Disney for her 10th birthday. We tried family therapy, but it didn't end well since her mom was constantly changing therapists and made it clear that I had no say in the situation. And in response to the relationship souring, apparently that happened when she realized when she wasn't getting any allowance. Info: does this mean you didn't sit down and explain the change to her and just let her discover it when the money didn't show up? I just let her discover it. She refused meeting with me ever since my wedding. She ignored my texts and calls. She just put my number on mute because my calls didn't go through. After the "please stop pestering me" message, I only pestered her twice. Sent her a Christmas card and an extra $200 in a birthday card for when she turned 15 with the extra $500 again. You can legally enforce a custody agreement. Why didn't you? Lisa made it clear that she didn't want anything to do with me. She didn't want spending time with me or just talking, both in person and over the phone, and just saw me as her personal piggy bank. She proved that when she reached out only when she didn't get her monthly $100. I'm not mad at her or anything, even though what she said to me back then did hurt, and it took a while to recover from the realization that my own daughter resents me that bad. I just made it clear that her ATM is out of service. So, you're getting rid of a 2-year-old Escalade and are in a financial position to gift it, but you can only afford to give one kid $100 a month as allowance. Are you paying child support? Obviously, you're the asshole, but this sounds like such a fake and poorly written story. It's not even funny. I am paying child support, yes. I can afford the $100 month allowance for both my children, but I also have a toddler now, and now when Blake moved in, it takes slightly more money to maintain our lifestyle, so I had to cut on some expenses. Oh, found you in the comments. Info: did you cheat on your first wife with your second wife? No, I met Rosemary around 5 years after divorced my first wife. At first, she was getting along with Lisa very well, but after Lisa's mom started talking trash about her to Lisa, Lisa started getting progressively meaner to her and eventually refused meeting with Rosemary at all. I am definitely going to love the audience feedback on this one because I'm in a weird boat here where I feel like it's either rage bait or we're missing a lot to the story. If it is exactly as the father told, which I doubt, I feel like he does have some justification for being upset with his daughter. However, I feel like there's more to the story as to why his daughter might be distant, And I also feel that she probably feels like she's being replaced by other members of his new family, which is why she doesn't really want the contact. I mean, Blake got the car, his focus is on the new toddler, he's basically moved on in his life. I know that some people in the comments are definitely going to be siding with the father that the daughter is being entitled and is not deserving of the kind of care and support that her father is previously offered beyond what is court ordered, and there probably will also be people who are like, wait, hold on, the father is willing to give away like a $100,000 car to a kid that he just met for reasons, but not aid his own daughter? Yeah, I'm really curious to throw this all to you guys. This one was posted to Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for using someone else's social security number at the casino because they're in a lower tax bracket? Good lord, what is happening in here? Oh no. Hi Reddit. I need some objective opinions on a situation I recently found myself in. For context, I'm a 35-year-old individual who enjoys gambling at the casino. Recently, I had a particularly good night and won a significant amount of money. As many of you might know, large winnings are subject to taxes, which can be a bummer. Now, I have a friend. Let's call him Dave, 30 male, who's in a much lower tax bracket than I am. Dave has always been pretty laid back about financial matters and always tells me he doesn't mind doing whatever to help a friend out. So, in my moment of genius, I thought, why not use Dave's social security number to report the winnings? Did you just admit publicly to committing dude, oh my god. Hey Reddit, I committed money laundering and fraud, here's how. Oh my god. This way, less money goes to taxes and more stays in our pockets. Dave was cool with it when I asked him, or maybe I just assumed he was okay because he didn't seem to care much. Anyway, I went ahead and used his social security number on the tax form. Fast forward a few weeks and Dave's starting to freak out because he got some IRS notices about the winnings. Now, he's more anxious about it than I expected, and he's saying that I should have never involved him in the first place. He's worried it might mess up his financial situation in future tax filings. It will. I tried to explain to him that I thought it wouldn't be a big deal since it saved us both some money in the end, but he's not seeing it that way and feels betrayed. When I told a few of my other friends about it, opinions were divided. Some sided with Dave, while others thought it was a smart move. So Reddit, am I the asshole for using Dave's social security number to reduce tax on my casino winnings? Dude, you committed fraud. And you totally just fucked Dave over, dude. If he's in a lower tax bracket and he has to report those winnings, when he goes to get his return, he's gonna get screwed over by you. What it sounds like to me is you gave Dave half the story and told you it would save you in the long run, but didn't explain the consequences that Dave would have to face after the form was filed in his name. You should be ashamed of yourself that you told Dave it would save him money as well, when it turns out now he's probably gonna end up owing money to the IRS while you walk away with the winnings. Technically speaking, what Dave should do is, because the winnings are in his name, is he should file a fucking police report and go after you for them. Honestly, dude, what the fuck? This one was posted to true off my chest. I found out that I have a grandchild, but my daughter wants no contact. First time poster, English is not my first language. My friend told me to come here for an unbiased opinion. I post in English for a bigger audience. I am 57 male and my wife is 56. We have one daughter, Lara, 34, Paul, 31, and Allie, 22. We have one daughter, Lara, 34, Paul, 31, and Allie. So you have two daughters and one son? Well, English isn't their first language. 3 years ago, we had a big fight with Lara and we decided to go no contact with her. Okay, take note of that. They chose to go no contact. She was very rude while we had some visitors in our garden. Our son-in-laws came to sort out some of the problems. My first grandchild was a few months old and they were fighting a lot. My son has a gambling problem. It's hard, but we try to help out as good as we can. I bought him some books and talked to him many times. There are good and bad times, but we believe that he will make it. And yes, we offered him therapy, but he rejected. Today I found out that my daughter has a daughter who is now 4 months old. Apparently, my cousin saw her and even talked to her. That was 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, I saw my cousin who told me how cute Peyton was, and I asked, "Who's Peyton?" He gave me a confused look and said, "Peyton? Your granddaughter? Lara's daughter?" I was very shocked, and since then I can't stop thinking about it. Why wouldn't she tell us? Yes, I was mad, but she's still my blood. I missed her whole pregnancy and my grandchild's first months. This is going too far. I texted her best friend Olivia asking for Lara's new number. She said no and that Lara wants no contact with us. I asked her to ask her again because I want to talk to my daughter. 2 hours later, she texted me, still no, and now I don't know what is going on, and I talked to Olivia, who is still Lara's best friend. You're the one who wanted to go no contact. So back when Lara showed up in our garden, she came to talk to us. She asked the day before if we were available for an important conversation. I remember that she asked, but the same day this drama with my son and his wife happened, and the next day her parents called to stop by and I couldn't cancel with them. When Lara called me to tell me that she was on her way, I told her we had visitors. She blew up my phone and exploded. Olivia said that was the final straw. I had no idea what she was talking about, so she told me. When my son married my daughter-in-law, let's call her Cynthia, Lara wasn't invited. We don't know why, but Cynthia demanded an apology. Lara said no, and I'm not going to humiliate myself and apologize for speaking out the truth. Apparently, Cynthia had a lot of different men and a bad reputation before she met my son. A lot of my son's friends had affairs or relationships, or I don't know how you kids call it. We didn't know, and although we are religious, it wasn't our place to judge. We accepted her. A month later, the wedding happened, and it was big. In our culture, 300 to 400 people are normal. We did celebrate, but I felt that Lara wouldn't care at all about that day. She didn't call or contact us. Olivia told me that Lara was hurt and nobody cared about her being not at the wedding. She even forgave us, but she never got over the betrayal. I asked which betrayal, and she explained that Lara felt betrayed because nobody would speak up for her or boycott the wedding. We all allowed sister-in-law to bully her for many years and then kicked her out of the wedding. I know that there was an incident or two, but that's not my business. Lara seemed fine, and 1 year later, this incident in our garden had happened. That was like 3 years ago, and last year I heard she moved away. Olivia said it took you 2 years to realize that your daughter moved from Europe to Canada. Holy moly, Canada is very far and cold. I had no idea that she lives in Canada. I don't even know her new husband. Olivia said that Lara married her ex-husband again, but this time they actually married in Italy. I remember him being broke, but it seems like he's loaded now. However, that guy doesn't like me or my wife. He's always talking about us prioritizing our son. It's always the same with this guy. Olivia talked to Lara and her husband, and the husband agreed to talk on the phone. I tried to prepare myself because I think this could go wrong. So today, I talked to my daughter's husband. Let's call him Peter. He asked me straight up what I want and left no room for small talk. When I asked how you are, he said fine, just fine. No thanks, how are you? He then had the audacity to ask me what I want or if me and my wife are planning on apologizing to Lara. I don't know why we should. Oh. Peter said, well, then there's nothing to talk about. I told him we are family. I guess that was the wrong answer because he pointed out all our mistakes, how we failed as parents and treated her so poorly while my son got everything and got away with everything. He accused us of favoritism. He then told me that the day Lara asked to meet us, she found out that she had cancer and that she wanted to talk about that the next day, which was Saturday. I work Monday to Friday and she didn't want me to be stressed. That's why she picked the next day. I had no idea and her husband said that's not true. Lara told me there's a possibility that she might have cancer and I can remember, but I thought she would tell us anyways. She never did, so I thought it can't be that bad, right? So just pausing real quick because the narration style of the story is hard as hell to follow. From what I understand, Lara told you there was a possibility she might have cancer and wanted to come and talk to you about it, and then you scheduled other things in place of that and told her that you couldn't, then she got mad at you, and then you went no contact. Am I following this right? Because this is a rambling of a story. I understand that English is not their first language, but oh my god, is this hard to follow. He told me no, it was the final straw when we canceled for my son's in-laws, and I replied she could have come at any time, but he said no, this was different. She asked for our time. I mean, we could have talked in the evening, right? Peter replied right then, why didn't you do that with the in-laws? This man is very rude. Nah, I'm gonna disagree with you there. Peter is the GOAT. Lara is fine and healthy now, and he said she doesn't want us in her life anymore. I think she's unreasonable, and she can't keep my granddaughter away from me. I asked for a picture, and he said no. My wife suggested to mention the possibility of getting kicked out of our will, and that's what I told Peter. He laughed, which confused me. This guy never shows any emotion. He said, go ahead, Lara would love that, as she doesn't want to be in our lives anymore, and that we might didn't notice, but he makes millions every year so we can keep the little money we have. Our house is almost worth $1 million and we have some apartments which would be another $300K. Peter laughed again and said, do what you always do and spend it on your golden child. He then said he has to hang up the phone for a work emergency. I said I'm going to talk with my wife, and he said whatever, and that he can't force me to stop calling him again, but if it gets too much, he will change his number. We hung up. I don't know why Lara is acting so selfish. My wife, who could hear everything, is very mad and thinks that Lara should apologize to us. I don't know what to think. Any advice? You could— I don't like this next sentence at fucking all. You could call out her behavior in the comment section so I could send it to her husband. Thanks. You chose to go no contact when she wanted to talk with you about a possible cancer diagnosis. You chose the in-laws over your daughter. You should have moved the in-laws to the evening. She felt like even a cancer diagnosis was nothing to you, and that the son-in-law would always be more important. So yeah, she got pissed and yelled at you. And then your response was to go no contact. So what does Lara do? Moves to a new country, starts an amazing new life, has a daughter, is doing phenomenal. Cancer diagnosis is now no longer an issue. She has moved on in her life and is wonderfully happy and living the best that she can. And you didn't give a shit about your daughter's health. It was the aspect of possibly having a grandchild now that made you actually want to reach out to your daughter finally after almost 4 years? Is that what it was? You have the audacity to ask her for an apology and then saying that people should be voicing their criticisms of her in the comments when you came to this subreddit for an unbiased opinion? No. Peter and Olivia are the fucking goats in this story. They kept Lara safe. And that's what's important, something the parents couldn't be damned to do. I want to add a quick little amendment here to explain why I'm so against Reddit just jumping the shark on going no contact, because I actually had a really nice conversation with someone in the comments about this exact situation, and I feel I definitely should explain a bit further, and I don't want to seem dismissive of the idea that no contact can be helpful. Hell, this post is a wonderful example of that. It's also a great example of the consequences that can follow it. But my issue is that when you have Redditors who are under the slightest transgression saying no contact, get a divorce, yada yada yada, especially when it's something minor that could easily be worked out through therapy or just a simple conversation, it makes the post where someone actually needs to hear that, and they actually need to hear, hey, you need to get out of this situation, it makes those comments seem worthless because that's already the default response. It devalues the advice to go no contact because that is the default response. It's like a boy who cried wolf moment. That's why I dislike it when people are constantly jumping on the go no contact bandwagon, because it causes more harm than good. Hopefully that helps explain why I have such an aversion to Reddit just simply jumping the gun on that specific advice. This one's posted to, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not acting impressed by my wife's, in quotes here, accomplishment? My 28 female wife, 26 female, and I have been married for close to 7 years. We currently have 5 kids together, 6 male, 4 male, 3 female, and my wife has given birth to fraternal twins, son and daughter, a year and a half ago. My wife intended to graduate high school the year we got married, but life got in the way. My dad had given me an investor relations type of role at his company, so we were traveling a lot, and then after that, our kids needed our attentions. What the fuck? You could probably hear the gears in my head turning. After our twins were born, my wife was bedridden for longer than we and even the doctors expected. Since we had to hire extra hands to do the childcare task that involved mobility, my wife had some time on her hands. Her mother told her that her friends, who proctors at a testing center, said that they give GED tests basically every week, at least across the state of Idaho. Oh my god, no! No! And that she should dust off her general education knowledge. She started browsing her laptop and decided to enroll in a GED prep class online. It seems she was better at self-paced learning than classroom learning because the stuff they were testing her on came way easier to her now than it did even though she's been away from structured classroom instruction for many years now. Even after she was back on her feet, she'd be studying for it after she dropped the older two off to their respective schools. I would see what she was studying and it looked pretty rudimentary, and I knew that getting a GED basically means nothing and that she probably wouldn't be able to apply it to anything career-wise or commit full-time to community college, where I doubt the job prospects for students are that great right now either. So my wife ended up taking the test the other day and she bounded into the room and said, "Yes, I passed! Whew, I got red lights on all panels. I knew she would since she was doing well on the practice test and the GED consistently tests in the same rudimentary topics. I did not gripe at her, but merely nodded at her and went back to answering an important email from a client. My wife seemed to get upset and I asked her what was wrong. She said I didn't seem that excited and I said that it's great that she passed, but I've been telling her that it was easy and no big deal. But if she needed something to prove to herself that she knew the high school concepts, I guess the money was well spent. She got even more upset and said she worked very hard and this was the essential building blocks to being able to start a career. Am I the asshole? My wife passed her GED test, but she wasn't exactly graduating from college and wouldn't be for at least 15 years. I just don't see any immediate applicability to her test, but I'm glad she had something to challenge her while she was coming off of being unable to fully care for the kids. How's that silver spoon feeling in your hand, by the way? Just out of a general question. Congrats on being given an investor relations type of role at your father's company after high school. At least that's what I seem to be reading here. Perhaps it was after college, but either way, your position was handed to you. The least you could do is actually show some respect towards your partner who did have to work to where they are in life. The family that the two of you created got in the way of her graduating high school, and she was finally able to do that after all of these years, and your response was, "Congratulations, it's not that hard." Dude, really? You're in a position in life where you could seriously uplift your wife and give her the life that she desires and help her fulfill her dreams, but instead you just wave them off because congratulations, it's not that big of a deal. Of course she's upset, dude. I think you're jealous. I think you're jealous that your wife is excited about actually having an accomplishment that's hers. Doesn't take a lot just to tell your wife, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool, I'm so proud of you," but no, can't even bother to do that. This one was posted to, "Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for making my sons take all their stuff to their mothers? Hello Reddit, this is a burner account because I think my sons read Reddit. I'm a 45-year-old dad of 3. My 2 boys are 19 and 18 and my daughter is 17. The boys are out of high school. The older one graduated in 2023 and the younger one just this June. My older one goes to college but is staying with his mother. We're divorced. For the summer. The younger one, as I said, just graduated. Right before he graduated, probably a day or 2 later, I told him that now he's 18 and out of school. He needs to decide if he's going to live with me or with his mother, and he needed to decide and let me know by July 1st. For reference, my daughter lives with me 1 week and her mother the next, and that is what my sons did when they were in high school as well, so week on, week off. Well, July 1st came and went, and I did not hear from my son, so on July 2nd, I packed up all of his stuff and his brother's stuff in trash bags and boxes and set them in the front yard. Then I texted them both and told them they need to come get their stuff. They asked why, and I said if they choose their mother over me, then I don't want their stuff in my house. I even packed up my younger son's pet snake and told him to take it to his mom's house, which he said he couldn't do because they already have a dog and 2 cats. So anyway, I told them to come get their stuff or I would throw it away. It took them each 3 trips in their cars to haul all of their stuff away because this stuff has been in my house for 12 years, so there's a lot, and I made sure the younger one took his snake. Well, after they took everything away, I got a call from their mother. She said she was livid and said that she does not have room to store all of their things. I told her that they live there now, so it's her problem. She said they already have things at her house because they've gone back and forth for 12 years, so there's no place for 2 houses worth of things. I again told her that they live there now, so the boys' stuff is her problem. She then said I had no right to send another live animal to her house without asking. I told her it's my son's pet, so it needs to stay with him. She called me an ass and asked where she's supposed to keep all the things. I told her there's a shed and a garage. They can store them in there. She called me an ass again and said I have no right to dictate how she uses her storage space in her home. I told her it used to be my home too, so I do have that right. Dude, what the fuck? She then said that she loves the boys, so will help them figure out what to do with all their stuff, but that does not mean she agrees with what I did. I told her she doesn't have to agree. If the boys live with her, then so does their stuff, and that's it. She hung up. So am I an asshole like she said? Your sons are going to be going no contact and it's justified. You're going to be asking yourself in a couple years, why don't they talk to me anymore? It's because of this. You made it clear you don't want them in your lives anymore. Even the thought or aspect of them choosing their mother over you was enough for you to take all their stuff out of their rooms and dump it on the front lawn. Thankfully, once again, sadly the worst has a comment that goes over some of Opie's comments. Someone commenting, "You're the asshole," I packed up all of his stuff and his brother's stuff in trash bags and boxes and set in the front yard. It escalated quickly. Are these your kids or your ex's? Why did you ask them to choose between you and their mother? You could very well have continued what was working. You're just bitter because your son didn't send you a message to choose and you punished him on the spot. Say goodbye to your boys who won't talk to you anymore, and say goodbye to your daughter who won't wait until she's 18 for you to throw all her stuff out. OP commented, "They are my kids with my ex. I never asked the older one to choose. He just ended up staying with his mom after he graduated. I asked the younger one to choose because he turned 18 and that is when the parenting plan ends, so I told him he had to pick a side." Wow, you're the asshole. Don't be surprised if that is the last you see of your kids and they never want to see you again. Dumping all of their stuff outside and telling them to remove it? I don't even know what to say. OP responds, "Why should I keep their things if they do not live with me? I don't understand." Another commenter posts, "You're the asshole. Your sons will grow to resent you for this. Your daughter, having witnessed this, will know that when her time comes, she'll have to pick between her mom and her dad. You seem to be viewing this from your point of view only. Being, it's either pick me or my ex. Pick. These kids have you and their mom. You both are their parents. Asking them to pick and then saying if they choose their mother over me, then I don't want their stuff in my house, will only make them resent you and hate you more. Trust, if you love your kids and want to be their dad in their eyes and not the man who kicked me out the moment I graduated, you'll apologize and try to make things right. I don't think I kicked them out though. I asked them to choose and they did, so they left. Oh my god, you're a fucking dentist. Goddamn osmium. Another commenter, "No wonder you're divorced. I hope your kids never see you again since your actions are basically telling them you don't want to see them / have them stay over ever again." I'm divorced because my wife wanted to divorce me. I wonder why. What else do you mean? Then why are you treating them like you would an ex? I don't know any parent who puts their kids' stuff in trash bags and throws them out. You just lost your son. It was stupid to ask him to choose sides. He made his choice. You're the asshole. Why do they need to choose a side? Why couldn't they travel back and forth? There is no rule that says once a child turns 18, they must choose a parent. That being said, you made their choice very easy and made your daughter's choice very easy. None of them will ever choose you for anything. You treated them like they were your ex and disposable. You will treat your daughter the same way and she'll live with her mother as well. I can see why you're divorced. You are simply not a likable individual. The parenting plan says it ends when the child graduates from high school, so no need for them to go back and forth at that point. Info. Why do you hate your sons? Because a loving father would never act this way. I don't hate my sons. It's just that they're 18, so it's time to pick a side. Oh my god. Pick a side? This isn't dodgeball. God, no wonder he picked his mom if this is how you act. Well, they couldn't legally pick a side until they were 18 anyway. They are your children. They are not children any longer. They are adults. You're the asshole. In the evidence of a divorce, the father or mother should not force the children to choose sides. It is not right. And the bad thing is that you don't understand this. You are both important to them. After all, you're their parents. I didn't make them choose sides when we got divorced. They were 7 and 6 then. But now that they're not children, I can tell them... I can tell them to do so. And then sadly the worst just keeps going. Oh my god. No shame towards Sally the worst, it's just the fact there's so much evidence of him just being a shitty person. My comment wasn't about the parenting plan. My kids are all adults. 2 have a different dad. They both still traveled and saw both of us for several years after becoming adults. Why? Because we're their parents. I never felt the need to force them to choose who to spend time with or even live with. Why are you so insistent that they choose? And did you really expect them to choose you? I couldn't make them legally choose when we got divorced, so now that they're adults, I can. They can't be loyal to both of us, so I guess they chose her. It is what it is, but they don't need to live with me if they're going to be loyal to her. Oh my god, dude. You're the asshole, so you threw your sons away. No one should make them choose a parent. You were co-parenting before they turned 18. Why can't you continue to co-parent? But hey, you got your house back and you only have one part-time kid now. Next year, when you throw her away, you'll be free for life. We didn't really co-parent. She did her thing and I did mine. I can't stand her, so I just let her do her thing most of the time, so I didn't have to talk to her. Damn, nice way to avoid the actual fucking part of the comment about the fact you're throwing your kids away. Another comment, down 2 sons and a wife. Once your daughter turns 18, be prepared for her to go no contact along with the rest of the kids. You just screwed yourself out of a family. See, this is a circumstance where it is definitely in your best interest to go no contact, by the way. You're the asshole, and the person you hurt the most wasn't your kids or your ex. It was you. Because when you're all alone wondering where you went wrong, they'll still have each other, and you'll be left with this extra space. The dude then comments, I am remarried. Unless your ex killed your brother, this is a ridiculous overreaction. He comments with, I don't have a brother, she divorced me and I don't believe in divorce, so technically they are being loyal to values that I didn't raise them to have, so they can go and have those values somewhere else, not in my house. Okay, the pieces are getting put together. How long do you think that's gonna last? You seem like a terrible husband and a worse father. So far, we've been married for 3 years. They can absolutely be loyal to both parents, and they should be, if said parents are worth that loyalty. And since you keep harping on them being adults now, good luck when they take you to court for that illegal eviction. And hopefully, your ex takes you back to court to reduce your parenting time for that one minor child as well. You have no business having unsupervised contact with her. Which then he responds, loyalty means picking a side. You can't be loyal to 2 different baseball teams, for example. What if they play each other? You have to root for one. Oh my god. He also responded a second time to the comment here that ended with, trust if you love your kids and want to be their dad in their eyes and not the man who kicked me out the moment I graduated, you'll apologize and try to make things right. He commented again, my daughter didn't witness anything. She was at her mother's already when this happened. Buddy, they're gonna talk. As someone whose parents got divorced when I was 4, you can most certainly still love both of them, despite them having their quarrels with each other. That is a ridiculous statement that it needs to be treated like a fucking baseball team. Dude, grow up. This would be one thing if you just wanted them out of your life and you were willing to admit that. Because yeah, you'd be the asshole, but you're also admitting to it. But for here, you're trying to ask if you're the asshole in this situation. Yeah, you are. If you don't want your kids in your life, then come out and say it with your chest. This one was posted to Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not inviting my girlfriend to my college graduation even though I had 8 tickets? Yes. Am I the asshole for not inviting my girlfriend to my college graduation even though I had 8 tickets? I gave the tickets to my mom, my dad, my brother's girl. This has to be bait. This has to be bait. My brother's girlfriend, an aunt, an uncle, and 2 younger cousins. Back in my day, bait used to be believable. She never told me she wanted to come, and I assumed she wouldn't have too much fun sitting alone with my family, so I didn't invite her. She got angry at me when she found out how many tickets I actually had, that I invited somewhat distant family members / significant others over her. She claimed she didn't ask because she assumed I only had a very limited amount of tickets, and that was why she didn't bother hearing about an invite. So am I the asshole? If this isn't bait, she should unironically go no contact with you. Originally posted to r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for snapping at my daughter, 4 female, for sucking up when it felt like she was just doing it to antagonize her brother? Throwaway account. I, 32 male, took my wife, 29 female, daughter, 4 female, and stepson, 4 male, to Disney. My daughter lives in Florida with her mom. We live out of state. So she's been to Disney before. On the drive to Disney from where we live, she talked non-stop about the Dumbo ride. A lot of Dumbo. She hyped Dumbo up a lot. So my stepson was extremely excited, to put it lightly. We got to the park and went straight to Dumbo, but the wait was kind of long. We said we'd do other things with shorter lines, come back to check the wait, and then just go when it dies down. We went and rode all of the other kids' things, got lunch, and, did the day. But the ride time at Dumbo just kept getting longer. Finally, at the end of the day, we knew we were going to just have to deal with the line, which was still longer than the beginning of the day. Bad call on our part, obviously, so we wait, and finally get to the top of the line, where there's the must be this tall sign. Clearly, the kids aren't tall enough to ride on their own, but because my daughter had hyped it up so much, my stepson wanted to ride with her. We told him he couldn't. He absolutely lost his shit. He was exhausted and understandably upset. My wife said she would take her son, but warned me that they were picking the color first. I laughed because it was such a nonsensical request, but said okay. My daughter and I got in the Dumbo ahead of theirs. My stepson still screaming and crying. My daughter kept pushing the button so we would go up and down and overly sweetly saying things like, "Isn't this fun, Daddy?" and "I'm having the best time." Meanwhile, my stepson hasn't pushed the button a single time, so they're just riding around in the very bottom. My wife pissed, and my stepson throwing a fit. Maybe This should have been funny, but it just pissed me off. It felt like she was being so overly sweet, as if to show off that she wasn't doing what my stepson was doing. I snapped at her to stop sucking up, and she stopped saying anything. Am I the asshole for snapping at my daughter for sucking up when it felt like she was just doing it to antagonize her brother? I think she was just excited to be on the ride, dude. I don't think she was trying to, like, outshine your stepson. I think she was just really excited and happy to be on the Dumble ride with you. Like, she's 4. I mean, I know that children can definitely be complicated and fickle bastards, especially with their emotions, but I don't think your daughter is scheming to try to make your stepson look worse and disguising it through just simply being excited about a Dumble ride that she was obviously very hyped about and probably wanted to know if you were enjoying it as much as she was. But hey, maybe children can be fickle little bastards, and this daughter is actually some kind of mastermind who knew that by being excited for the ride and happy to be on it and showing you that she was enjoying the time spent with you, that it was making her stepbrother look worse, and I sound insane. This one was originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for arguing with my girlfriend because I invited her to an event and she left to go eat elsewhere? My girlfriend, 26 female, and I, 30 male, have been arguing since yesterday about this. Context on my girlfriend. She's fit, takes her gym seriously, and has a healthy lifestyle, which means she doesn't eat everything or whatever. I consider this to be a bit excessive since I do work out but I eat whatever I want, but it's her choice, so I leave her to do what she wants. I invited her to a martial arts event where we were watching some friends of mine fight. She's not a super fan of MMA sports, but she accepted my invitation because she wanted to be with me. The event was at 7, we arrived at 7:30, but it started an hour later. Before going, she asked me what we would eat and I said I don't know. We should just go and see what we can have there. We arrived and noticed there was only hot dogs and fast food, which I offered her if she wanted something. I'd pay for it. She said no. She asked what was nearby, and I said a mall. She then told me she was going to grab some quick food over there and be right back. I was angry at her for leaving and simply not eating the food that was offered there. Everyone was eating there. She just left and grabbed food elsewhere, came back 30 minutes later. I was mad she left me alone just because she craved or wanted another type of food. Once we got home, I told her how mad I was at her for doing that when she could be a bit more flexible with her food and just eat what's being offered. I told her going out with her was trouble and a headache because she was never flexible. I admit I was angry and could have used better words, but she does have a problem with adapting to an environment she doesn't feel comfortable in. She then said I shouldn't be forcing her to eat something she doesn't want to eat. Am I the asshole? Well, first of all, her body, her choice. Second of all, what did you say to her? Because what you told us, I told her going out with her was trouble and a headache because she was never flexible, doesn't have the same tonal implications as you then stating, right after, I admit I was angry and could have used better words. So what did you actually say to her? And dude, why are you getting this angry at her because she wanted to put something in her body that wasn't just junk food from a stadium when you know that she's a health nut? It's important to her. I feel like there's more actually going on with this story that we're not being told about. Like, from what you described, she didn't miss your friend's events. It sounded like you left her to walk to the mall on her own, get her own food, and then walk back, and you could have gone with her. She didn't have to leave you alone. You could have tagged along so she could have the food and be happy. This could have been a win-win. You support her lifestyle, she's happy, you're happy, you get to watch your friends that are doing a little MMA fight, and you can eat as many hot dogs as you can shovel down your gullet hole. You could have had a perfect night, but instead you got mad at her because she wanted to eat healthier. Like, to me, it sounds like you're acting like she did this to spite you when you know she has a history of choosing healthy options because she's a health nut. Like, buddy, friend, pal, listen to yourself. This one was originally posted to r/relationship advice. My 33 male partners, 25 female, dog with her ex, 25 male, is ruining our relationship and I suggested euthanasia. She now resents me. How do I navigate this situation? My partner Jess and her ex, Tom, adopted a 9-year-old rescue dog together shortly before their breakup 2 years ago. At the time of their breakup, he took responsibility for the day-to-day care of the dog, with her visiting and occasionally dog sitting over the past couple years. Now, I'm not a pet person, and have had very little to do with the dog, but have tolerated it staying at my house from time to time, as my partner and I live together. 3 weeks ago, Tom was evicted for failing to pay his rent and is now couch surfing. One of the main reasons he's having financial problems is because the dog has ongoing medical issues, which are quite costly. He insists on covering these costs. Jess insisted she had an obligation to look after the dog while her ex finds a new place, and the dog has now been at our house for almost 3 weeks straight. And there is no knowing when her ex will find a new place, as the rental market in our city is dire. I was already quite uncomfortable with Jess and her ex continuing to co-own a dog, as it has meant they've continued to have contact throughout our relationship. But now the dog itself is firmly intruding on our relationship. Jess's insistence to look after this dog has meant we've been unable to go on dates as frequently as we otherwise would, and a weekend I've been planning away is now in question. She says she doesn't have a problem looking after the dog until her ex finds a place, but it's not just affecting her, it's affecting me and the dynamic of our relationship. I work in a high-paced, high-workload environment, so time to relax and unwind is important to me. I've asked her why the dog can't stay with Tom's friends or family, but apparently he has very few close friends, as he only immigrated here a few years ago, with Jess, and his family is still all overseas. I told Jess if he can't take care of the dog, he should hand it over to a shelter. Jess insisted that it would be unlikely to be adopted and get put down because of its age and high ongoing medical costs. I rang the shelter and they confirmed this. I told Jess that given the circumstances, her ex should just get the dog put down and that this is the best thing for everyone in this situation. As a gesture of goodwill, I even offered to pay for the euthanization to ease the financial burden on her ex, which I obviously did not have to do. My partner says that I don't understand because I've never owned a pet, which is true because I find them to be disruptive, which is being completely validated by this situation. For context, they adopted the dog 3 weeks before breaking up, and it's been with her ex since. He's been almost wholly responsible for the dog for almost the entire time it's been in their lives. Ultimately, she's beginning to come around and see that this is unfortunately the best and really only feasible path forward. But it's clear she feels like I'm making her do this and resents me for it. I want to be there for her because while I've never owned a pet, I can understand this will be an emotional process, but feel like it's hard to support her under these circumstances. How do I navigate this situation as gently as possible and make her see that I'm only looking out for everyone? Too long didn't read. Partner and her ex share a dog that's now staying at our place. It's affecting our plans, and I suggested the dog should be put down. Dude, that too long didn't read does not help your case in the slightest. Oh my god. This dog has mildly inconvenienced me. Kill it! Kill! If you had phrased the too long didn't read as the medical costs were becoming a burden and putting a financial strain on everyone, which is why you were looking at euthanasia as a viable option, that is one thing, and while it is a difficult choice, it's more understandable. However, the way that you've worded it speaks very clearly as to what your intentions actually are. You're annoyed that the dog is interfering with your peace and quiet in your plans, and have jumped entirely into the boat of the dog should be put down because it's an inconvenience to my plans. Like, it's not me jumping to conclusions either. That's literally basically your words with the too long didn't read. And also, because it sounds like the ex is the one who has been putting care in for the dog, it's his decision to put the dog down, not your girlfriend's. Like, a lot of this certainly stems from the fact that he's never owned a pet before or had to deal with what it's like being the parent of a pet, but dude just threw all subtlety out the window with that too long didn't read at the end there. Like, it's not very often that we get it so black and white. I also think the motivations go beyond just simply putting the dog down because it interferes with the plans. I think you just want to sever the connection that your girlfriend has with her ex, but in the process of doing this, you're inadvertently kind of, euthanizing your own relationship. So during the editing process, I actually found this comment from Sally the Worst. They're actually a watcher of this channel, apparently, and they're very frequent on the subreddit. They'll go and they'll collect comments from the OP to help add a bigger picture of context to the story at hand. Sally the Worst dug this comment up. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. Is the dog so sick that it needs to be put down? No, but it has arthritis and requires pain medication. joint medication, and anti-inflammatory, plus a special diet. So yeah, this comment here kind of internally to me at least confirms the fact that he just wants the dog to be put down because it annoys him. Originally posted to r/relationship advice. I, 35 male, cheated on my wife, 36 female. She left without telling me anything. How can I get her back? I know, I'm aware of my faults. I know I screwed up. She and I had something beautiful. She's the love of my life. We were together for 10 years, 2 dating and 8 married, but I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once. Just one damn time. Somehow she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she found something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual and everything felt weird. The house felt emptier. I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked. I started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." That was the last thing I got from her. 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who's been the only bridge between us. But he just told me that he was her legal representative and that she doesn't want to see me. I fought, I got angry, but in the end, her lawyer just told me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to. I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. I know that if she gave me the chance, I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again. I know that I can make her forgive me. After all, many couples go through similar things and get over it. Why can't we be one more couple in that statistic? Why, after 8 years of marriage, am I thrown away like garbage for a mistake? I don't deserve so much indifference. I haven't been able to see her or even hear her voice in 2 years. 2 years of not being able to see or talk to the person you love the most is too much of a punishment. This situation has destroyed me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I ended up consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol. Weeks of barely eating, not sleeping. I was a zombie for months. I was just functioning on automatic. I wanted to die, but I couldn't let myself die because I always held on to the hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that the relationship is over. So you're always thinking that person will knock on the door, or that you'll wake up from sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. I'll be honest, I didn't make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced, and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for couples therapy, but she refused. I know from my lawyer that her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice, but she refused. It took quite a while, but finally, the divorce happened. I can't even describe the feeling. I felt, and still feel, like if a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her, I know I failed, but I think we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back. He only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates, but I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in sex anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend at his house. Let's call him Nick. We were both pretty drunk and I started talking about my wife. And he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with a lot of confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused. I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her. Until he finally told me. His wife has been in contact with my wife for over the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Sabrina, my wife's friend, being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is that my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I felt like dying. I literally felt like dying with this information. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk, missing her, and wanting to die every day? She was happily on the other side of the world, getting married, fucking, and getting pregnant by another guy. How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years to the point that I thought she was infertile, but she got pregnant by this new guy so easily? Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely nothing, and I feel like I can't go on in my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge sex with the first Norwegian guy she came across and got pregnant and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally, and I guess like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know. These thoughts are killing me. I refuse to think that she's in love with him. I need to contact her. I need to talk to her. I need to know what's going on because she acts like our 10-year history and 8-year marriage is nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse of travel to where she is and look for her, but how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in. I don't know where she lives. I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media. Her family is small. They don't live in the same country as me, and all of them blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back. Yes, even pregnant. I feel like if this is a nightmare and I need to wake up now. So before we get onto the massive edit that's attached to this, which is definitely a pretty thick read, she's not entitled to forgive you, dude. She's allowed to move on and be an adult. You broke that sanctity of trust, and she has every right to never trust you again. And if I'm going to be honest from your behavior here, it's actually pretty clear there's more under the surface than just the cheating. Like, you, in this entire thread, you have only spoken about you and how you feel, never once about how maybe she feels about all of this. And now it's time for the disastrous edit that I can only imagine is going to be rough. Edit. I read almost all the comments, and when I say almost all, I really mean is almost all. It's hard to process all the crap that's been said about me. I feel like you guys forget that you're talking to a person, not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more sympathy by sharing my story here. Just two people feeling empathy towards me, and their comment made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I will try to respond, but of course, I'll never be able to respond to all the comments over here. 1. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not to be able to get over a person. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It will happen when it have to. 2. Those who doubt my story, unfortunately, it's real. I would love this to be fake, but sadly, it is not, and I have to live with this mess every day. 3. Everyone assumes she's happy now. I don't know. I mean, how would you know? I haven't seen her in 2 years. I can't have any idea if she's happy or not. Being pregnant doesn't necessarily mean happiness, and being married either. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she got pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one, and she just held on to the other guy. Of course I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I had just been a better person and a better husband for her, but unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I can do is try to make it up to her, but how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Some people said that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. 4. I never blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases the test revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why we couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, and of course the idea that I was too, but in most cases of infertility, it's due to a female factor. Maybe that's why I thought that. 5. Horrible things were said, like I would hurt my ex-wife if she was here. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I'm not an abusive person. I'm not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her in a way beyond what I can say, but I'm not a monster or a narcissist. 6. Some people said that I never loved her otherwise I would not have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. You think you can kidnap the concept of love and tell another person what his real feelings are? You think you're inside of my head or heart? Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I don't regret it. No one can tell me this isn't love. Lastly, humans are more complex than most people think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her or that I don't have feelings. I called what I did a mistake because how else would I call it? I thought part of accepting blame is accepting that was my mistake, but everyone here take those words as if trying to twist the situation when it's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. Okay, real quick, I'm just gonna insert this here. The problem isn't that you're accepting blame. The problem is that you're accepting blame for the situation, but then expecting, or in this case it seems, even demanding, that your apology be accepted. Part of accepting blame is you're not entitled to be forgiven. You have to earn that, and sometimes you can't, and you just gotta live with that. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, for me, it's been one attempt after another to put together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I simply tried to be open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here. Not for me, at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she immigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Honestly, I'm going to respond to some comments below and then log off of Reddit for a couple of days until I feel in a better place. Update: these days have been very strange, and at times I feel numb and at others desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something and then I will update. Some people ask, why Norway? I don't know exactly, but she is a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She's always been interested in Norwegian culture. She's been there before. She's also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages, so for me, that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I'll say is that the post reached some people in my circle. Sabrina's sisters on Reddit. She knows the story and realized it was me. She told Sabrina. Sabrina's angry at Nick for revealing information. Nick is angry at me for posting on Reddit, and because he says I pressured him to talk, I am angry at both of them for being 2 assholes who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage. Why should I care about their marriage? Sabrina could have given me Marianne's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping 2 friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding to my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough, I could find something related to her. I follow some of her oh dude, this is getting fucking creepy. I follow some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I'd seen before, but that hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that's not typical in the United States or my wife's country. She's not American, and a very strange last name. I went to her Instagram profile and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture, only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile and I was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman and their friends? I saw a lot of pictures, people, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, flowers, typical things that an older lady posts. Until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on this wedding. There were a few more pictures, not many. But there were even some members of my ex's family in the wedding pictures. The dates of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago! She married this guy. I don't understand. How could it happen so fast? When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant. Not before. This baffles me even more. After that, I found another picture. It was a group picture that she was far away, but of course I recognized her. The same guy had his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. This picture was from February 2023. To be clear, she left in May of 2022. How is she with someone in February of 2023? Only 9 months, and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family? What the hell is going on here? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those who had imagined this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you, it's not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, and too pale. Hair too long and kind of chunky, to be honest. He looks more like the old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. I managed to find his Facebook profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer who wears a metal band t-shirt at 38? I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself. just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical taste as you. I mention this because maybe that was the way they were connected. She used to connect easily with people who liked the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and I think, where did she get this guy from? I mean, he can definitely do better than this. This pregnancy thing still messes with my head. I try not to think about it. I can't understand. I'm not infertile, like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor and I know I'm not, but God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I ever imagined, and no, I'm not going to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her, but I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce. You took advantage of her situation and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. Oh, it's just Sabrina and Nick. Fuck you! Okay, look, normally I don't read posts like that, but just the flow of information and the way that he was talking, oh, dude, you need like advanced therapy. I don't know what to even tell you. It is not often that I get to watch someone break down and just devolve into obsessive conspiracy rambling on Reddit over something like this. Is heartbreaking. And I fear for your safety and your wife's safety. Ex-wife's safety. Fuck, he has me doing it. Therapy, advanced therapy or something, psych evaluations, or I don't even know, dude. I really did try to narrate that post with an open voice that was very calm, but just the way you typed, it was very clearly a stream of conscious in the way that my words would flow with it. It just got more and more unhinged. I'm sorry, dude, but that's how you sound. Like, I know you're hurting, but dude, you gotta move on. At some point in time, you just gotta look at her and think, good for her. And you gotta move on. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.